This land is your land, this land is my land. I'm a Texas tiger, you're a liberal wiener. I'm a great crusader, you're a Herman Munster. This land will surely vote for me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. I'm an intellectual, you're a stupid dumbass. I'm a Purple Heart winner, and yes, it's true, I won it thrice. This land will surely vote for me.
You have more waffles than a house of pancakes. You offer flip-flops, I offer tax breaks. You're a UN pussy, and yes, it's true that I kick ass. Ha! This land will surely vote for me.
You can't say nuclear, that really scares me. Sometimes a brain can come in quite handy, but it's not gonna help you, because I won 3 Purple Hearts. This land will surely vote for me.
You're a liberal sissy.
You're a right-wing nut job.
You're a pinko commie.
You're dumb as a doorknob.
Hey, you got that Botox.
But I still won 3 Purple Hearts. This land will surely vote for me.
This land was my land.
But now it's our land. From California to the New York Isle. What I do?
From the liberal wieners
To the right-wing nut jobs.
this land belongs.
This land belongs.
This land belongs
to you and me. Yeah. Oh, and Dick Cheney too.
And on that note, I think we can begin. Good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world. And tonight, as mentioned, we are gonna be getting a little bit political. If you've read the announcement, tonight we're going to be playing This Is the President. If memory serves right, this game was made by the same guys that are responsible for This Is the Police games, but let me double check on that one. Let's see, this is the President. And would you know it, the game is actually on sale right now for 75% off. And yes, it is part of the Ultimate Loyalty Bundle, which does include both This Is the Police 1 and 2. And already the main menu is getting us into the mood. So, the game is somewhat recent since it's released in 2021. Some things are topical, some are not quite, but we'll make the best out of the current events unfolding before us. Might still be too loud, huh? Okay, let's try and tone down it even more to this point. Should be a bit more bearable by now. And I will need to also consider doing something with my microphone, because it is picking up some trace sounds that I'm not too sure about. Maybe we just need to finally put on the protective screen. But nevertheless, let's get right into that and see how can America be saved from itself. We do have ulterior motives, but that comes a little later. Start over on this save, and I think we're gonna be playing on normal for this one. FDR quote to start us off, and of course, an introductory cutscene. President-elect Jail's ex-partner.
Hey, Bob. How much time do I have left?
Sir, I was ordered not to speak to you.
Son, I'm not asking you to die in a gunfight. I just want to know how much time I have left.
10 minutes.
I'll never finish all this in 10 minutes. Think you could help? Is it fair that your fellow meatballs while you're stuck here staring at me? You were ordered not to talk to me, but they didn't say anything about lobster, right? Now sit yourself down, right there. You can eat in silence. Otherwise, I'll just have to throw half of it out.
If anyone found out, I'd be fired.
Don't worry, I don't give up my friends. Unlike some people. Your name is Bob, I gather. I haven't seen you here before. You a rookie? I didn't know they were taking 16-year-olds as guards.
I'm Quang.
20. Sorry. Serious age, isn't it? You can't legally buy yourself a beer after you've had a tough shift, but you can elect the president.
I don't drink, sir. Half my family are drunks. I know how dangerous it is.
Oh, alcohol is dangerous. And isn't the right to vote even more dangerous? If you were drinking like a fool, you'd only be harming yourself. And if you're voting like a fool, you're putting an entire nation at risk.
I'm not voting like a fool. I voted for a man who would send all the shameless, corrupt officials to jail.
Well, one of those shameless, corrupt officials is now kindly treating you to lobster. Delicious, isn't it?
Sir, I didn't know, sir. I don't have anything against you personally, sir. I'm just glad the new president will finally fix the Constitution, that's all.
You do know that the president can't change the Constitution, right?
Well, why can't he? He's president.
President, yes, not king.
But presidents can sign decrees and all that.
Only Congress can propose and pass amendments. If you don't believe me, just Google it.
Can't the president do whatever he wants? Why do we need presidents at all? Aunt Ruta explained everything while she's watching this.
If it's any consolation, son, you and your Aunt Ruth weren't the only people fooled by our new president. I myself once trusted him. Look where it got me. This is a man who has always abused the trust of his friends, and now he has abused the trust of millions of Americans, people just like you.
So I really did vote like a fool, sir.
There's no mistake that cannot be corrected, Bob. Not in this country. We'll fix it, you and me, together. I can stop him. I know his weak points. I just need to get out of here as quickly as possible. Will you help me?
You're not planning an escape, are you, sir?
No. What are you saying? I have a great many friends who will help me walk right out through the front door, all perfectly legal. It's just that I'm a little cut off from the world right now, you see. If you could just bring me a phone, I could set everything in place from right here in this cell.
My phone?
Not yours, of course. You wouldn't want to risk that. Any other one.
Won't I get fired for this?
Bob, when they find out that you helped me, you'll get an award. You're an observant guy. You can see what's going on. This is a matter of national security.
Sir, He might not be an honest man, but he's still the president, right? The most powerful man in the world. Isn't that what they say? Isn't it just too dangerous to go against him?
Now don't you trouble yourself about that, Bob. My 10 minutes are up. The president has a much longer term waiting for him.
And now, let's get right into it. My friends, today we have shown that the American dream is still alive. I'm the son of immigrants who rose to become vice president. I'm living proof. We've shown that the soulless corporations and Washington crooks don't get to decide things. The people of the United States have spoken. I'm proud of you, America, and I'm proud of our new commander-in-chief who will give everything he's got for the good of America. Let me introduce Mr. President-elect. That's us. Right, someone give me my papers. Should be good enough. Oh, fuck it, I'll just wing it. My fellow Americans, this victory is your victory. Throughout the campaign, the establishment put sticks in my spokes. That's why the mainstream press ignored me for so long. The ruling class have nearly turned our country into a prison. A prison where ordinary Americans do all the work and the establishment takes all they earn. The authorities have artificially divided our country along party lines. But my victory proves that we, the people, are all on the same side. The time has come to take our country back. For in 4 years, I will achieve more than other presidents achieved in 8. I will sign it. Right, be careful with your promises. If you don't keep your word, the people won't like it. But, as for the promises, I will sign a truly progressive first executive order. I will appoint a black chief of staff. And I will transfer all my non-monetary assets into a trust. I won't make any more promises for now. First, I will fulfill the ones I made. I want to thank the entire campaign staff. First of all, my analyst and campaign strategist, Ollie. He led me to victory. I want to thank the new vice president, Antonio Estava. His experience with the FBI has helped me a lot. I want to thank my new first lady, my brilliant Ellie. Without her support, I would have never become president. And I want to thank President Feist. He took it like a man when his campaign went downhill. That's it for today. God bless the United States of America. Your approval rating goes up when you say and do things the public likes. When you make unpopular decisions or are exposed by the media, your approval rating goes down. Be careful, if your rating goes below 25%, you could lose your position through impeachment. The Black Chief of Staff news has caused riots in former CSA in half the Midwest. We'll see about that. But our ratings went up from 44.4% up to 50.4%, which is a great deal if you ask me. In his speech, the newly elected president showed that his victory was no accident. He senses the hopes and dreams of America and indulges them. Although in this speech the word I sounded much more often than the word we, it still will sure to go down in history. Joe Lynn, right in the center. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. After the victory speech. Man, you're always so irresistible. That speech nearly brought tears to my eyes. Finally, we'll kick the crooks out of the White House. That's right, Tony. Their days are numbered. 3 months. 3 months, and we'll have our revenge. Tony, we didn't run this campaign so we could get revenge. We did it to amend the Constitution. Ellie, maybe we can amend the Constitution and get revenge too. I just hope that vengeance doesn't swallow you up whole. Judging from your speech, you are still fixated on Feist. We don't need to waste any more time on him. Let's just focus on getting to work. Just got word from headquarters that we have urgent business. Let's get going, but first let's open a bottle of vintage champagne that I hid in the office to celebrate our victory. Sounds good to me. Champagne. What a shame, buddy. The bottle of champagne is gone. Could it be that we drank it last week when we celebrated my birthday? But don't lose hope, my friend. I just saw Ellie. She wants you in her office. She had a pointer in her hand. Somebody's in for an exciting night. No kinky roleplay for us. Let's discuss our real goals. Well, Tony certainly has his head in the clouds. I say let him soar, so long as we don't get carried off ourselves. We can't take our eye off what's important. You know the truth, my dear, so I don't go to prison. Exactly. At least if I were the one going to prison, I'd have a slight chance of getting out. But you... How many days do you think you'll last in jail? With no bodyguards. We've said it 100 times, but I still worry that sometimes you get carried away and forget why we started all this. If at the end of 4 years we haven't gotten your lifelong immunity, we're dead. Always keep it in mind. My memory is perfect. I believe you, but it's been so long since we talked about it, I'd like to go over it again. Now, for our ultimate plan. Amendment 28 will enshrine your lifelong immunity in the Constitution. They won't be able to open a case against you. No one can arrest you, you'll be beyond the reach of the police, the FBI, the NSA, even God Almighty. First, we need to get the amendment before Congress. To do this, we'll need powerful allies in both houses. Don't we have actual supporters there? Of course we do, but without extra incentive, even our closest allies wouldn't push the amendment we need. But I've taken care of it. I found a lobbyist who, for a modest one-time investment, will bring us together with influential congressmen. So how much is modest? $7 million, a mere trifle for changing the Constitution. Our lobbyist's name is Noah. He has a lot of connections at the Capitol. When he puts his back into it, he can push any policy through. Remember the recent sweeping tax cuts for the wealthy disguised as simplifying the tax code? Noah played a decisive role in that one. That's one steep trifle, but it doesn't seem we have much choice. We don't. No one can do this better than Noah. I'd rather we had a choice, but we have to work with what we have. Okay, so what's next? Noah will introduce us to influential congressmen. However, he himself won't be negotiating with them. That part is up to us. Which brings us to step 2, gain the support of 2/3 of Congress. Now, if you give me a second, I'm gonna tune down the microphone sensitivity a little bit. At about that level. Maybe that one. Yeah. That should work. Now, where were we? Won't our newfound supporters make the case to their colleagues? They may be able to bring along some friendly party members, but not all of them. Our party currently dominates both chambers, but it still falls short of 2/3. So we should follow standard investment strategy and diversify our options. That means stuffing several baskets at once, including baskets in the other party. Once Congress is on our side, we'll add the amendment to the Constitution right away. Now, that brings us to the most difficult part of the plan. A minimum of 38 states must pass the amendment. I've looked into this. It gave me a headache. There are certain states that are always going to be hostile towards you. The local governors, the mayors, the judges, the legislature, the whole system is against you. So we had to think tactically. Instead of trying to win over the local elite, who will never really support you, we will enlist the support of the people. So what's the catch? The procedure for ratifying the amendment is written into the law. The establishment will easily block it unless we change the ratification procedure, and for that, we'll need the Supreme Court. We need the court to side with us so that the voters, themselves in each state, ordinary people who are much easier to sway, can vote for the amendment. Otherwise, it's down to the local legislatures, and a lot of them would rather see you burn. At present, the majority of the Supreme Court is against us. We'll need to replace at least one opposing judge with an ally before we can bring the amendment directly to the people. That's the third step of the plan. And how will we remove a judge? I'm working on that, but it's not an easy task. Once appointed, Supreme Court judges serve life terms. To get one of them off the bench will be a major operation. Can we find the opposite of this? No. I don't think we will. But stick around, maybe things will change a little bit. Of course, even once we've dealt with the court, the people will still have to vote on the amendment. The campaign for passing this amendment will have to be even stronger than your election campaign. We have a lot of convincing to do, including people in states that are hostile towards you. Keep in mind that without popular support, our amendment could later be repealed. How long did Prohibition last? 13 years? You don't want to lose your immunity and go to jail for your retirement, do you? To achieve the support this amendment needs, we'll need record-high approval ratings across the country. According to calculations, at headquarters you'll need an astounding 90% approval rating. That's the final piece of the puzzle. So there we have it. So what do you think of the plan? It's no easy task, but we can handle it. Yes, and besides, there's no way back. Let's get to work, my dear President. Let's get to work. Mr. President, I'm ready to introduce your amendment to a circle of influential congressmen for a modest sum of $7 million. Why is the price so low? I usually ask tens of millions of dollars for my services, even when it comes to minor change in labor laws. And we speak here of an amendment to the Constitution, no less. But you're lucky. I offer a big discount to newcomers to politics. That's why I told your wife that $7 million is nothing for what you want to pull off. I'll be waiting for the payment details until the end of October 2021, and I would advise you not to spend all your money. Save at least a couple of million for the negotiations themselves, or find some incriminating evidence that will force your interlocutors to defect to your side. So take your time and come when you're ready. However, keep in mind that the time limit cannot be extended. We got us 12 months to gather $7 million. We got $2 million in bank. We'll work with that. Got us a couple of new events. What are events, you asking? You may get distracted by the country's problems, but remember that your main goal is to pass Amendment 28. If you forget what you need to do to accomplish this, open the Goals tab. 2021, Congress initiates Amendment 28 hearings. 2022, Congress approves Amendment 28. 2023, the Supreme Court allows direct voting for Amendment 28. 2024, the people ratify Amendment 28. Darling, I understand the entire procedure of passing an amendment is a bureaucratic nightmare. If you ever forget what needs to be done and what's going to happen next, consult the checklist. That's what I made it for. Politicians tend to forget their promises. If you need help remembering yours, click on the Promises tab. So a quick reminder. Sign a progressive first executive order, appoint the first ever black chief of staff, transfer your non-monetary assets into a trust. 4 months to get through them. Otherwise, well, nobody likes a broken promise now, do they? All politicians make promises, but nobody ever keeps them. Let's show people we're different. Try to fulfill the promises you made during your speech before the end of February. This will make the public trust us, and they'll be more forgiving when it comes to keeping promises later. Next time, we'll have a year at least. The cards on the left column are events you can engage with. Some events aren't available until you fulfill certain conditions. So, first order of business. Find out what your staff has prepared for you. Buddy, you made a promise to sign a progressive first executive order, and you have to keep it. You're not some jerk like Face that says one thing and does another, are you? See that bunch of waste paper on your desk? In fact, it's 5 projects you can consider for your first executive order. Clint prepared them based on the most popular suggestions your supporters made during the campaign. I say without hesitation that they are all truly progressive. So don't be shy, choose the executive order that suits you best. Let's go through all of them. Starting with declassify Area 51 documents. The US government is hiding their documents on UFOs and Area 51. When the inauguration takes place, you will have the power to declassify them. This will show the American people that their new president is dedicated to openness and transparency. However, this order won't be appreciated by the military and other government offices, as some of these documents may contain military secrets. So, 60% of Americans believe that the government is hiding information about aliens from them. 33% of Americans believe that at least some of the known UFO incidents were in fact real alien encounters. 60% of Americans attribute UFO sightings to natural phenomena and chance. Executive Order number 2. Cure cancer. Despite progress in the early detection and treatment of cancer, hundreds of thousands of Americans die every year from its many different forms. Your predecessor called for cancer funds. You can go further by assembling the best scientists and funding the creation of a great laboratory that will finally discover a universal cancer vaccine. This will communicate to the people that the health of your fellow Americans is your top priority. But pharmaceutical companies won't like this order. More than 600,000 Americans die of cancer every year. 54% of Americans are closely related to someone with cancer. 27% of Americans who are diagnosed with cancer die from it. Option number 3. Defeat poverty. Among the richest countries in the world, the United States ranks second in terms of poverty. Previous presidents organized campaigns to combat poverty, but they never took the plunge and tried to solve the problem by taxing the rich and abolishing the corporate benefits and sharing the wealth of the regular people. This order will show that you're on the side of the people, but the rich won't like it. 11.8% of Americans are considered poor, 20.8% of African Americans are considered poor, 0.1% of the wealthiest Americans own the same amount of wealth as 90% of the nation's population. That's a very FDR or borderline commie option. Option number 4. Ban online advertising. Now we're talking. The thing people hate the most is internet advertising. They're much more comfortable with advertising in print and on television where it's clearly regulated. You now have the power to fix the internet by banning all advertising from it. With this order, you will show that you've listened to the will of the people, but the tech corporations won't like it. 75% of Americans are annoyed by online advertising. 91% of Americans believe that online advertising has increased over the past few years. 67% of Americans aren't willing to pay to make ads disappear from websites. And our final option, colonize Mars. If America does not lead the way to colonize Mars, someone else will. Plus, government exploration of Mars is the only way to go to the people, not to the to ensure that its resources will go to the people, not to the corporations. With this order, you'll prove that you're looking to the future, but the energy companies won't like it. 63% of Americans support sending astronauts to Mars. 72% of Americans want the US to be the leader in space exploration. 7% of Americans are ready to set off for Mars, never to return to Earth. I am honestly leaning either towards this one or curing cancer. But once again, I am open to suggestions. Fuck Mars, terraform the Earth? That's an interesting proposition. But consider playing Surviving Mars. Pretty good game by Hamemon Games. I am not sponsored for this advertisement. By the way, Hamemon Games has now been bought out by Paradox. That is the actual news line. But yes, we either colonize Mars, ban online advertising, or try to cure cancer. Decisions. I may need to flip a coin on that. Cure cancer, ban online advertising, or colonize Mars. Okay, looks like we gotta vote for cancer. Let me think about it for a second and hope maybe, just maybe, I'll also flip a coin. And before I forget, let's also reduce the strain on my laptop a little bit by closing the browser window. That should work, at least temporarily. And there. So, let's go with cure cancer then. fight a cancer vaccine. You're on fire! You're on fire, my friend! Your first executive order is going down in history with a blast. Curing cancer will be one of mankind's greatest discoveries, but Big Pharma won't like it, especially if the government finds a vaccine where they failed. Do you know what they'll do to us? Tie us up in patent lawsuits? Exactly. They'll do anything to keep raising prices on medicine. Alta and I were walking along the corridors and heard you discussing the first executive order. I can accept that you didn't ask me, but the whole floor could hear you. So, it's not like any of it's a secret. People here are not gonna leak our plans to the enemy, even at gunpoint. Well, if you say so, I have to admit that the idea for the first executive order is perfect. Really? I was afraid you wouldn't like it. Why? It's a wonderful distraction. While the establishment and the journalists are dreaming of a cure for cancer, we can calmly work on our amendment. It's no maneuver. I want to see Big Pharma in a straitjacket. Are you serious? Listen, the pharma companies have very powerful lawyers. Even when we were sitting in the White House, we wouldn't be able to afford those guys. They'll tie us in knots and soon we'll be the ones in straitjackets. Wait, nobody managed to stop us during the campaign. How can they do it now, when we're about to take charge of the country? Tony, when we start leading the country, Big Pharma will have even more leverage to put pressure on us. I understand perfectly well that you have the best intentions, but now is not the time for reckless decisions. No problem, Ellie. There will be a time for reckless decisions. Maybe tomorrow, after we've all gotten a good night's sleep. I'm off for now. Congratulations to the country's new first family. New team member. Clint Glover, lawyer. Leave the papers to me, Mr. President-elect. I have it all covered. Honey, I always believed that with a team like we've got, sky's the limit, and we have Clint to thank for it. I've just remembered that even before I met you, I had heard of him. Some called him a district judge's bastard and an upstart lawyer. Others said he was a legal genius who never lost a single case. And now case law students are studying his legal strategies. Try not to lose Clint, alright? I can't imagine who else would compose your decrees so competently. Up next, Men in Black. Sir, at the entrance to HQ I noticed 2 suspicious men in dark suits and glasses. They were obviously following us, taking lots of pictures and always checking their phones. What do you want us to do about them? Report to the Secret Service about them. Sir, the Secret Service is seriously concerned. They'll contact you as soon as they establish the identity of these men. I always trust my gut. I can sense a bad guy for miles. New team member? Alvaro Guardado, bodyguard. At your service, sir. Anytime, any place. After his brother's death, Alvaro is not himself. He sees murderers and conspirators at every step. It may be perfectly natural for a bodyguard who has vowed to protect you with his life, but I still worry about him. Honey, please don't ask too much from Alvaro. I feel he is already at his limit. Late night hacking. Chief, I'm sorry to be calling out of nowhere, but it's an emergency. Someone is trying to hack the server at HQ. According to protocol, I should pull the plug on the hacker immediately, but if you let me, I could track him, find out who he is and what he's after. It's not protocol because it's risky. While I'm tracking him down, he might break into our secure files. Keep an eye on him. I want to know who is sticking their nose into my affairs. Chief, I tracked down the hacker and cut off his access. It looks like he didn't manage to get anything important off our servers. We traced the hack to the address of a consulting company that works for the White House and Congress. The hackers seemed focused on accessing your schedule and itinerary. I have no idea what an itinerary is. But say hello to our new team member, Ollie Skuloff, data scientist. I wish I could back you up, Chief, but at least I've got your back. This was the 5th hacker attack in 2020. Thank goodness our Ollie is not only a talented analyst, but also a real computer genius. I heard people laughing behind your back when you put an ad in a paper looking for a computer specialist. But if it weren't for that, Ollie would still be working for Feist. Or for his contractor. And there he is. The man. Due Feist. Mr. President-elect, a real man needs to be able to take a hit. I admit it, I lost, you won. Congratulations. According to tradition, I invite you to the White House so we can begin the transition period. We'll talk in private, and then we'll go to a press conference. New event, Lame Duck. Your team members appear along the bottom of the screen. These people will obey any order without question. Or almost any order. They do have their morals, after all. Alvaro Guardado, bodyguard, skills. Protecting clients, preemptive attacks, spying on people, physical threats. After serving in Vietnam, he worked as a bodyguard for several major businessmen. He found his way onto your team mostly by chance, but he believes it was a matter of fate. He places great stock in horoscopes, fortune-telling, and signs, but he does not believe the weather forecasts. Almost like my mother. Clint Glover, lawyer. Failing court cases, behind-the-scenes negotiations, connections from the former clients, persuasion. When Clint lifts his hand, prosecutors stammer, bailiffs lay low, and judges tap their fingers on their gavels. Little is known of his personal life, except that he has two brothers. A little spoiler alert, we'll be meeting them during the game. And finally, Ollie Skuloff. Skills. Data scientist, skills. Preparing data-driven reports, writing to a personal blog, hacking people, using surveillance hardware. A confident PC user, according to his 25-year-old resume. Even then, he was already a specialist in the digital industry and remains one today. He retrained as a political data analyst to ensure your victory in the election. He goes to orphanages on his rare day offs, where he teaches the children basic computer programming. All in all, a stand-up guy. Lame Duck. President Feist is waiting for you at the White House for a traditional meeting after the election. Itineraries and travel plans, I see. It's good to see you, Mr. President-elect. Have a seat, make yourself at home, and get used to it. Soon this will be your home. Feist, stop playing games. What do you want? Me? Absolutely nothing. I've done everything I could and leave here with a clear conscience. I figured you'd want to ask me for a favor or two. What are you talking about? I could help you select people for your administration, introduce you to influential people. There are so many nuances that you don't expect until you actually become president. I'll pick my administration staff myself, thank you kindly. I thought I was hiring the right people too. And then I saw that the White House was a hydra. No matter how many heads I cut off, it would just grow new ones. And this dragon can defeat anyone. I could talk about us all day, but the journalists are waiting for us. Time for a press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I've already managed to have a few words with Mr. President-elect. You know, I'm terribly uncomfortable talking about this, but I'm always honest with you, so I can't be silent. Our next Commander-in-Chief is an ordinary hypocrite. In public, Mr. President-elect is constantly accusing me of having sold out to the establishment. But in our private conversation, he just said he's willing to do anything it takes to earn my friendship and the numbers of my patrons. Mr. President-elect, is what Mr. President Feist is saying true? It's not in my nature to recount private conversations in public. You see, he's afraid to answer for his words. Feist, don't turn this into a circus. As soon as the conversation turns uncomfortable, he immediately tries to turn it into a circus. Joe, let's take the next question. A question for Mr. President-elect. On the eve of the election, Goldman magazine estimated your fortune at $350 million. Is that estimate at all accurate? Is that how rich I am? My wife will be thrilled. Have you decided how you're going to get rid of your assets before the inauguration? I'll keep my promise and put them in a blind trust. Now that you are to be president, it will be difficult for the Federal Prison Bureau to get their money laundering lawsuit through the courts. As one of the defendants in the case, you are breathing a sigh of relief. None of that bothers me. I know I'm innocent. This remains to be decided by a jury. Everyone who has studied the case knows that what a miracle it is that our new president escaped a prison sentence. Please don't interrupt. I'm the one answering questions now. I admit it, I'm out of line. Joe, what's your next question? You've often claimed that your former business partners were unjustly condemned. As president, you'll have the power to pardon. Are you planning on correcting the miscarriage of justice, as you put it? I'll have to. Who better than the president to administer justice? During your election campaign, you hardly talked about international relations. What will your foreign policy be? I'll put things in order across the globe. The Chinese and the Russians can no longer just do whatever they want. I see, Mr. President-elect. I have one more question. A reliable source from inside your team has informed me that your first act as a president will be opening a laboratory to research for a cure for cancer. Is that a fact? And is it also a fact that your actual intention is to open a biological weapons lab, which you're planning to use to bring down the establishment? Yes, I'm opening a laboratory, but to eradicate cancer, not the establishment. Yeah, that's what you want us to think. It seems you think that once you're president, you can do anything you want, even take out whoever you want. Does anyone have any serious questions? Yes, one final question for President Feist. How would you sum up today's meeting with Mr. President-elect? My fellow Americans, I applaud your choice, but my dear friend does not care about America. All he cares about are his own personal ambitions. He wanted to be president so much that he became one. America is just a toy for him. He'll tinker with it for a time, then cast it aside when he grows tired of it. But we still have to live here. Not every American knows what I'm talking about. Not yet. But soon it will all become clear. I only hope it's not too late. Thank you for your answers, President Feist and Mr. President-elect. And we take a hit to our... oh, actually a little bump to our ratings. The President-elect emerged victorious from his first press conference since the election. But that won't put an end to the rumors surrounding his first executive order. Tell me, Mr. President-elect, are you really going to open a bioweapons lab? We'll see about that. Face, that bastard. Not only did he lie, but his lackey Joe sniffed out what your first decree would be. You don't think that the decree was leaked by someone from our headquarters? I can't believe it. I'm sure this is the work of the establishment which bugged your office through and through. Buddy, I won't put up with it. When I worked for the FBI, I always tried to strike while the iron is hot. It's easier to get down to bedrock this way. Therefore, I will investigate immediately, and I promise that I will expose the villain. Or my name is not Tony Estaba. Honey, I can see that Tony misses his days at the FBI, and he decided to play investigator. Whatever makes him happy, I'd say, as long as it does not prevent us from promoting the amendment. Knowing Tony, he'll probably figure out at the end of his investigation that he is the one who did it. Meanwhile, we should deal with a few pressing issues, draft the amendment and the first decree, and staff your administration. Please delegate these tasks to our best. We have no room for error right now. As for the leak of the first decree, Alta has an idea how to turn it in our favor. Go speak with her and she'll tell you everything. Yes, indeed, someone is a sore loser. And it's not me. So, first of all, let's fill the administration. Find people for the remaining positions in the administration. Tina White, HR Manager. Send a suitable employee on the mission. Keep in mind that they will not return until next month. Mr. President, you personally make the decisions on key appointments in the administration. But beyond that, we need to hire an army of clerks to handle the day-to-day business of government. I understand that you can't approve every candidate, but you have better things to do. But maybe you could send someone from your team to supervise the process. Sounds like the perfect job for Clint. Next, compose the first executive order. Prepare the first document you will sign on Inauguration Day. Buddy, please appoint one of your team members to be in charge of drafting the first executive order to develop a cancer vaccine. It's always like that. Nothing gets off the ground until you put someone in charge. It was just like that with my birthday party. Until I hinted to Ellie that I hoped it would be perfectly planned, the party wasn't even on our schedule. I'm guessing Ollie will have to do for that one. And finally, draft the amendment. Or maybe we'll get to that one in a bit. Darling, I'm already overwhelmed with the amendment, and there's a lot of work to be done. We need a final text as soon as possible. When we get Noah on board, he'll have to present something to the congressman. Can you lend me an employee from headquarters to help out at least a little? I don't think we have anyone with relevant skills for that, so we'll get back to it in a bit. For now, how to fix a leak. Your communications director has a plan for dealing with a leak. And there she is. Communications director, Alta Randor. Listen, what the hell is going on? Not only has some moron leaked details of your first executive order, but now these imbeciles are saying that you're a bioterrorist. Don't worry about it, they'll make a bunch of noise and then forget all about it. As if they just easily forget the newly elected president's first big scandal. And you only added fuel to the fire by admitting that you really are working on an executive order like that. In other words, we need a surefire plan to how we're responding to this nonsense. It sounds to me like you already have a plan ready to go. Can't fool you, cowboy. Here's how it works. Let's say that yesterday I drank a little, got behind the wheel, and dented a little pillar on the parking lot. I don't want to pay for it, so I start a rumor that I smashed into several expensive cars in the parking lot. The security guard hears about this, runs around in horror, checking all the expensive cars up and down. And what does he see? All the cars safe and sound. So the guard sighs in relief and goes back to his booth. And about that dented pillar, he's already forgotten all about it in the bustle. You see what I'm getting at? You mean we'll spread even crazier rumors than the ones they are already writing about me? Exactly. Journalists will eat that nonsense up, and then later we can come along and refute it. So let's make up a good rumor. It needs to be something that captures people's imagination, and is difficult to verify. Imagine that you're coming up with a backstory for a mysterious villain in a superhero movie, but you can't go fully into wild fiction. How do you intrigue people? When I was a teenager, I accidentally found out that I was adopted. Ever since then, I've been angry with the whole world. I think I've heard that one before, but it works, and we can easily refute it with a single official document. Now we need to give you a superpower, but one that people can easily believe in. What could it be? After a long and painful training, I've become the perfect liar. I can beat any polygraph. That won't work. That's my superpower. You need something unique. Now we need to give you a superpower. How about... I can read other people's minds. How about you try to read my mind right now? I said people need to be able to believe it. Fine, fine. I never lose money. It's like it's always climbing into my pocket. Yeah, for the average American, that sure sounds like superpower. Although sometimes it seems like you really are a money magnet. And finally, like in any story, the hero needs a believable motive. Remember, we've got to be able to refute it. So tell me, what are you trying to achieve? I want to develop a vaccine against a rare disease that I've contracted. That's not bad. Then we can simply bring in an independent doctor and prove that you're healthy. When I was a teenager, I accidentally found out that I was adopted. Ever since then, I've been angry with the whole world. I never lose money. It's like it always climbs into my pocket. I want to develop a vaccine against a rare disease that I've contracted. Already, that's grounds for a Lex Luthor Superman reboot. Alright, this rumor is gonna be perfect. Refute it, and you're golden. And new team member, Alta Randor. Buckle up, cowboy. It's time we gave those hyenas a taste of their own medicine. If Alta says we should spread stupid rumors, then we will do so. She's earned our full trust during the campaign, no less than Alvaro, Clint, and Ollie. And I'm just saying that because she's a friend of mine. Mr. President-elect, did you know that every self-respecting ruler has his own charity? Your wife asked me to register a foundation called Hands of Good. It will come in handy if you want to do a couple of good deeds. Or more. Hands of Good will not attract the attention of the tax authorities, so you can dispose of the fund's money at your whim. Give everything to orphans or to civil servants if you wish to pay your employees' salary. It will be called humanitarian aid. The people trust you. and I do not doubt that these expenses, whatever they are, will always benefit our country. And now, in order to draft the amendment, I think we can assign Alta to help with that. Let's actually have a look at her resume first. Skills: writing press releases and speeches, spreading rumors, speaking with journalists, public attacks. Pull words off your tongue before they even enter your mind. Famous among other PR specialists for writing a patriotic speech without mentioning America once. She hosts popular evening live streams featuring cooking and knitting. Oh, she's also a part-time influencer, huh? You dealt with everything that was urgent and can now move on to next month. Ratings go up, and all is fine in the world. Now, December 2020. Mr. President, Clint has filled the administration with lawyers of the highest caliber, just like himself. He says he went through all his notebooks to do so. I assure you, we assembled the most competent people we could possibly afford. Well, ain't that nice? Buddy, Ollie never drafted executive orders, so our task of ensuring the vaccine ends up developed first stumped the guy. But he found a solution. He fed the neural network the text of thousands of executive orders from the Library of Congress, entered the title of yours, and generated the whole text. At first I thought it was a joke, but the executive order was more readable than what usually comes out of the pen of the crooks in Congress. Ollie has prepared a summary of the decree for you. Check out what he has come up with. Let's see what we have here. Despite progress in the early detection and treatment of cancer, thousands of Americans die every year from its many different forms. You will assemble the best scientists and fund the creation of a great laboratory that will finally discover a universal cancer vaccine. You will pay for this laboratory from the budget. Not too bad. Honey, Alta has finished with the correction and has prepared you an abstract with the main theses. No President of the United States shall be prosecuted after their term in office is over for the decisions made before the term was over. Perfect. Concise and to the point. Not willing to dress up in fancy words, and we're golden. But now let's start thinking about how we can make money, right? What are the President-elect's supporters saying? Will life in America be better now that he's seeking a cure for an incurable disease instead of serving the people? Jolene, right in the center. The country still hasn't recovered from the shock of the presidential elections. Rumor has it in establishment circles that President Feist won't be given up so easily, and is planning for both formal procedures and informal maneuvers to remain in the White House for as long as possible. Johanna Rizzuto, just DC. Tell you what, brother. That new president, that's Coyote. I know him. I used to go on runs for him back in the 90s. I figured one of the competition took him down by now, but look, it's been rising high. Oh shit, a Clint works for him too. See? Conrad Glover. That's the first brother that was mentioned. David Sadar, Prime Minister of Israel. No relation to any real-life persons. Greetings, Mr. President. I've come to New York on an unannounced visit to handle a personal matter. I'm sure you're extremely busy right now, but if you could give me some time, I would be most grateful to meet you in person. So, how about giving those journalists a public flogging? We have all the documents we need to expose the rumors. The main thing is to keep calm and hammer the facts. Deny everything that they're trying to hang on you. Once the journalists realize that they can't provoke you, they'll calm down. But first of all, you receive the first document you can sign. All signable documents are stored in a separate tab. You can start signing documents as soon as you are inaugurated, but you can use the time before you become president to lobby for your first executive order. Lobbying costs money, but if you hype up a document before you sign it, it will give you a bigger ratings bump. Lobbying takes a month. Each document can be lobbied twice for an event for an even bigger rating boost. Fine, we'll do one lobbying. From 1 to 9% approval. That sounds decent, and only for 200,000. What a steal! And we'll get to you eventually. So, to speed up window and text animations, hold down the right mouse button. Yeah, I remember that. An unexpected visit. Find out what the Prime Minister of Israel wants from you. Good evening, Mr. President-elect. Please take a seat. Mr. Sadar, are we not having a private meeting? My friend, I'll let you in on a little secret. This is my meeting. David flew in at my request, but we decided to invite so you wouldn't blow a fuse. Oh, come now, my old friend. Why do you rush to attack? Mr. President-elect, please excuse him. Dewey is a great man. He just hasn't yet come to his senses after his recent defeat. Seriously, David? He started it first. I took him in as a friend, and in return all he did was spit in my face. You can't fool me. You set me up at that press conference. Get over yourself, Faced. You only summoned the Prime Minister here so you could cry on his shoulder. Greatest ally. Ha! It's a good thing David has such uncomfortable shoulders, or I'd be crying like a baby right here. I've already said it, but I'll say it again. What do you think, that David and I are some heartless bastards who sit around drinking bourbon while ordinary people are suffering in poverty? We're not drinking for fun, but out of grief. Our careers have seen been a series of missed opportunities. You sure don't ever change. You never admit your mistakes. Pot, kettle, yada yada. My greatest mistake was my naivety. When I began my term, I had no idea how it would turn out, and I paid dearly. And now it's your turn to pay. Or are you naive enough to believe you'll just hand over your assets into a trust fund? No, I assure you, this position carries with it some heavy losses. I called you for one simple reason. You see, there is one powerful person who refuses to admit your victory. He is in prison, so he is of no threat to me. You underestimate Wister. He is smarter than he looks and has a lot of influential friends. Snakes like him are not contained by prison cells, as we've seen in the intro cinematic. You've been shitting on Wister and he wants to get his hands on you. Right now he's got a whole army of Secret Service agents guarding you. That's why he's looking for any lead to keep you out of the White House. And I assure you, even if you do make it there, this will not make your life any safer. Things might get even worse. So what's he planning to do? I wouldn't want to spoil the surprises of your first days in office. You'll see soon enough. David, how might I best help our new friend out of his trouble without myself raising any eyebrows? Well, Dew, that's quite a task. I can only share my experiences. I personally orchestrate the leaks that come from my administration. I say what I will do first, second, and third, and in the end I do the fourth instead. Thus I remain unpredictable to my opponents and smoke out the traitors. Well, you're quite the asshole. I myself always keep everything under lock and key. The kind of lock that no one can pick. But our dear friend here does not know that art. It would seem his lock has already been picked. So what do you expect me to do with all this? Don't sit idly, but prepare yourself. As I said, a massive assault is already underway against you, and if you're not swept away by the first wave, then the second one will almost surely finish you off. Let's say this. So long as our interests remain intertwined, I will help you. You've already received news from a person who is not publicly connected with me, so no one will learn that I am helping you. Publicly, I will continue to shake my fist at you, and you must likewise continue your public criticism of me. Keep telling the world that what a bastard I am. Don't worry, it's like sweet music to me. And no one will suspect our collusion. I hope you're not lying this time. I never lie. Sometimes I distort the truth, that's all. You do it all the time, do you not? And now I'm sorry, but I must be alone with David. He is the only one who can help me out of the pile of shit I find myself in. I have but one simple wish. A quiet retirement. Please try to understand, my friend. And if possible, don't discuss our conversation with anyone. Although, who would believe you if you did? Mr. President-elect, again, please forgive me. It's a pity that we had to meet under such circumstances, but I simply couldn't refuse Due's request. I promise, next time we meet, it'll be just the two of us. Sure. Next, Fateless Electors. Buddy, I decided to bring back the good old days and found out something most unpleasant. We are being spied upon, and no, we're not talking Secret Service agents. Some shady characters are watching every step we take. According to my old contacts in the FBI, they refer directly to Warren Monger, head of National Intelligence. Here's a recording I made the other day abiding by all rules of secrecy. As soon as I gather more evidence of illegal surveillance, we'll counterattack them together. The private conversations of agents. When their superiors hear this, a lot of heads will roll. Tapes like these are not easy to obtain and will fetch a lot of money in the open market. This is, if we refer back to this as the police, our contraband, which we can sell for a hefty sum. Buddy, the election race has been really stressful for us. Everyone's on edge and about to tear each other's throats out. Alta bullies Alvaro, even Clint can't contain his irritation and taps on the table when you talk to him. But it's me, a man with a vulnerable soul, who suffers the most. Luckily, my college buddy, the coolest psychologist ever, is in DC. It's not cheap, but why don't we call him for a debriefing? He'll have it all sorted out in 10 minutes. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose my mind. Only 10K? Sure. Mr. President, our corporation has created the Jupiter N vaccine. I believe that one day it will eradicate flu. But the anti-vaccine lobby has been on the rise, calling us greedy baby killers. To make people trust pharmaceutics more, we live vaccinate movie stars, bloggers, and politicians. President Feist, for example, has already participated. Would you like to be a part of this campaign? You donate a shot to your shoulder, we donate $150,000 to your charity account. Ruben Shapiro, chairman at Pharmaceutics. Fine. You've received the first item. To use it, go to the Items tab. You can use items to earn rating boosts and other bonuses. You can also sell items to Noah. He's always happy to buy compromising evidence and the like, and he knows how to make it pay well. To get new items, go on missions and complete assignments. See? 900,000. Almost a million. But we'll hold on to it for now. Darling, I suggest you hold on to blackmail materials unless you urgently need money or approval rating. There is no need to sell it to Noah right away. It may come in handy when dealing with influential people. See? Allie's smart. She's always been. Fabricated rumor. Refute a rumor that you yourself started. Time for a press conference. Members of the press, thank you for coming. Mr. President-elect is ready to answer your questions. Sir, my name is Johanna Rizzuto. I'm from Just DC. On behalf of all my colleagues and the American people, I must ask you, how do you feel about being elected president? Have you gotten used to the idea yet? I feel great. I'm getting ready for the inauguration. I'm sure that America will be happy to hear that. My question is this. Are you really planning to build a laboratory to conduct biological experiments? Yes, I'm building a vast secret laboratory. Just imagine what experiments I'll be performing there. Mr. President-elect, are you being serious? Did you just admit that you're not building a laboratory to find a cure for cancer? No, curing cancer is still our top priority. That's not what your first answer suggested. Are you making a joke? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, that was a joke. Mr. President-elect is obviously being sarcastic. Please, let's move on to the next question. In that case, how do you comment on the fact that your adoptive parents hid that you're a foster child? Do you accidentally discover that as a this is a teenager, and has that made it difficult for you to trust people? My parents didn't adopt me. We've already posted proof that will confirm this. Wait, so you're saying it's not true? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, please don't forget to check your facts before asking questions. I'm looking at you, Joe. Yes, Alta, I checked everything. Sir, I'm Joe Lin from the newspaper right in the center. My question is, do you know anything about reports that your lab will be looking to cure rare diseases other than cancer? The primary mission of our laboratory is to find a cure for cancer. Mr. President-elect, according to my sources, you are now working on an amendment to the Constitution, and all the noise surrounding your first executive order is just cover. Could you please comment? What the hell? My plan was ingenious and now you've ruined it! No, you journalists are the ones making the noise. We're quietly working on several initiatives. Is it true that you are preparing to introduce an amendment in case the Supreme Court blocks your first executive order? The Supreme Court won't be blocking anything. We're doing everything in accordance with the law. Ladies and gentlemen, I did warn you, but you wouldn't listen. Unfortunately, we're forced to conclude this press conference. Just a moment. Hold up, let me share a few thoughts in closing. Folks, I appreciate your professionalism, but I must also ask you to appreciate my time. Thanks to those of you who follow the rules of proper decorum today. Until next time. Oh, that was a disaster. Cowboy, they wanted a war, and they got one. But then for some reason you turned up your stupid sarcasm. I told you not to let them bait you. Well, at least you were able to pull yourself together. Joe was clearly trying to catch you up, but you handled that perfectly. For future reference, if something like that happens again, it wouldn't be a bad idea to show a little emotion. The people can understand that. Those bastards were being completely disrespectful. I had to stop them before they forced you to blurt out something. Mr. President-elect has challenged convention and crushed it. Rather than sit safely behind his team, he launched a counterattack against the mainstream media and emerged victorious. Bertha Glover left for dead. Ha ha. Sir, Mr. President, Face signed an executive order pardoning 100 convicts. Among them were his cousin Thomas, sentenced for cocaine possession, a wealthy family heiress who was serving time for fraud, and a businessman accused of tax evasion. It's scary to imagine having 100 dangerous criminals roam our beautiful country. Would you like me to relay the pardon procedure so that the convicts don't get out while Face is still in office? You know what, that's actually a sensible decision. Yeah, do that. Yahto Rashid, head of the Natural Resources Defense Council. Mr. President, your predecessor withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. In the meantime, US greenhouse gas emissions have increased by 8%. Why don't we sign the treaty again and protect America from extinction? Nah. Honey, the editor of a Body Positive magazine invited me to do a shoot for their 2021 calendar. I would love to do it, but first I want to check with you. Is it supposed to be a nude photo shoot without makeup and... It is supposed to be a nude photo shoot without makeup and retouche. Would you agree to let the whole world see your first lady unadorned? Yes, you're as beautiful as you are. Faithless electors. President Face isn't going to give up the White House without a fight. Hey man, we have a problem. Remember Ben Trayer, who leaked the polling figures ahead of the Wisconsin primary? He became our elector there. So Trayer just called and told me that Face people approached him with an offer. You can guess what they wanted: for him to defy the will of the people and vote with his conscience in the Electoral College. In return, they promised Trayer a place in Face's new administration. You know what that means. Since Face couldn't win the election fairly, he intends to buy it. Face has nothing to do with it, Tony. There's other, more dangerous people behind this. Are you buying Face propaganda, man? You've said it yourself, he's to blame for everything. We won the majority of the electors, and if they always went with the voters' wishes, there'd be nothing to worry about. But in some states, electors have the right to vote as they please. So what do we do now? Don't worry, I already figured out a solution. Unaffected progressive image? Nah, after all, it's not a first executive order. Trayer told Face people that he needed to think about their offers, so we still have a chance to do something if we work quickly. First, we need to figure out what can stop a Wisconsin elector from voting however he pleases. Then we'll know what to do. The election law of each state has so many wrinkles it's enough to trip up the devil himself. But when it comes to law, our Clint is devil's worst nightmare. We should ask him what he thinks. Mr. President-elect, I don't know the laws of each state by heart, but I can quickly learn the responsibilities of Wisconsin's electors. Or you could bring a lawsuit against the state and wait for the court to liberate the rights of Wisconsin's electors. Either way works fine, but the courts could take months, and I don't think you have that kind of time. Oh, I absolutely do not. You are the future commander-in-chief and don't have to do the dirty work yourself. Use your subordinates instead. But remember that they can't act on their own. The success of each mission depends on your orders. So, research the responsibilities of Wisconsin electors, that's difficulty 0, I'm guessing, or sue Wisconsin to change its election law, difficulty 1. And Clint, I'm thinking, already has skill level 1. So we'll go with the first option as suggested, research the responsibilities of Wisconsin's electors. Sir, Wisconsin law does not require electors to vote for the candidate who won their state. They can vote for you, or Feist, or Mickey Mouse. That's right, anyone. So, if 9 out of Wisconsin's 10 electors support Feist, he'll remain President of the United States. See, man? I wasn't just sounding the alarm for no reason. Just imagine what would happen if Feist buys the electors. That's a ready-made scenario for a second civil war. Somewhere, the Beanie Hat Man is happy at the mention of a civil war. We'll have a mess in our hands unless we get real evidence that Feist is trying to perform a coup. Until then, Trayer won't release a public statement that they tried to buy him. And we better not push him because we don't want to spook Feist's people if they're watching him, and it wouldn't look good if we were photographed with him. I say it's time to send Alvaro on a business trip. Let him carefully observe all of Trayer's contacts. Feist will send someone to get Trayer's answers to his offer. Sir, I'll keep an eye on Trayer and take photos of everyone he meets. They won't take away your presidency, right? But tell me, should I be all over him to make sure I don't miss anything, or is it better for me to keep my distance? Of course, it's best if you were to keep your distance. Sir, I didn't take my eyes off Trayer all day, but I didn't get too close either. That man has one boring life. He sits all day laboring over his paperwork. He met with someone from Face administration in some Chinese eatery. I photographed everything, even what they ate, although those disgusting noodles make me sick. Man, we now have all the evidence we need of Face's criminal intentions. All we need now is to give it to the press. Alta will figure that part out. Cowboy, I see you've been busy, digging up dirt and Faced. Now we just need to put it out there. Just tell me, do we address this issue through official channels, or are we gossiping? Look, if we issue a press release now, we'll be in complete control of the information, and we'll know what the journalists will write. But do we even want to be associated with this dirty situation? I'm afraid that Feist will somehow just drag us deeper into it. But if we just spread it by rumor, that's a completely different situation. Yes, rumors are less predictable, but whatever happens will be at a safe distance. It's up to you, cowboy. We'll go like that then. Spread a rumor that Feist is trying to buy electoral votes. Completely deniable, factually correct. Missions cause your subordinates stress. If they accumulate 5 stress points, they'll refuse to work. But a good president can always find a way to get their exhausted employees back on task. Cowboy, the journalists wrote everything we needed. The Feist administration is in a panic, denying they had any contact with the electors. Meanwhile, the electors themselves are all pledging to vote according to the will of the people. Man, I have good news. The electors decided to vote in good faith after all. Now nothing is standing in the way of your presidency. There wasn't a single scumbag who turned his back on the American people for personal gain. No matter how much Feist tried to outwit us and the American people, it is, in the end, he only outwitted himself. The truth is on our side. Hooray for us. And that's another ratings boost. No matter how hard the mainstream media tried, they failed to convince the people that power rested in the country's leadership, and not in the elections and the people. If Even people who didn't vote for the newly elected president were horrified by the shameless attempted coup. Berta Glover left for dead, and Alta accumulated 1 stress point. Nothing to worry about yet. Grazina Kowalski, professor of landscape design. Sir, did you see how President Face decorated the White House for Christmas? He wrapped Christmas tree legs around the pillars and hung weird stuffed animals on the railing. It's a disgrace. I'm your biggest fan and would love to help decorate the President-elect's headquarters for a small fee. Shall we show Face what real style is all about? Sure, unless it involves this, ugly thing. And only for a modest fee of 5,000. Sir, have you noticed how stylish the leaders of China and Russia look in their photos? Would you like to do the same? Let me tell you the secret to their photogenic looks. There's an army of makeup artists working for these guys. Why don't we hire Hollywood makeup and SFX artists to make you look your best? Now that's a brilliant idea. Mr. President, it's too noisy at our headquarters. Alvaro is writing his surreal detective story on a mechanical typewriter, Alta is listening to country music, and Ollie is pounding a baseball monotonously against the wall. It all keeps me from meditating. Will you allocate some money for soundproofing my office? Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Now the drywall reflects all the noise and I can finally focus on my work. And that's -1 stress point. Good on us. The Daily Brief. Tony accuses the intelligence community of subversion. Man, those books are so arrogant. For weeks now, the CIA has been refusing to send you daily presidential briefing. It's a trove of crucial data about what's really happening in the world. You have the right to read these briefings from the day you're elected. But the intelligence community is pretending you don't even exist. And without your presidential briefings, you won't be able to manage the country once you take office. What are they thinking? That Face will still somehow keep his claws on the White House even after his failed attempt at rigging the electors? But don't you worry. I have a plan on how to get into their offices and obtain the brief. For this, we'll need people who don't create any unnecessary noise. Keep in mind that we won't be able to act remotely. Even his third-rate CIA office is walled off from basic hacker attacks. The plan is, find a hole in the CIA security, recover the daily presidential briefing. I'm thinking we go with Ollie and Alvaro for this one. After all, they are our top men. Have you heard about this National Intelligence Service Director's son? The guy's name is Dean May. The insolent ass took his mother's maiden name and went to work under his father's wing at one of the CIA's less classified office branches. I guess I figured that nepotism was rampant in the department and no one would bat an eyelid. I heard plenty of gossip about this Dean May back when I worked at the bureau. They say the guy doesn't even do a damn thing, just goes to work to have fun and doesn't even follow standard safety measures. And his father covers him for everything. Come on, I can't believe there's that much malfeasance at the CIA. You'll be surprised. Well, then you're naive. Do you think they do everything nice and neat and by the book? Forget it. I often wonder myself how the whole intelligence community hasn't collapsed into chaos. On the other hand, since his father is the director, the kid may well have access to their most secret documents, and none of his co-workers will complain. I bet if anyone in foreign intelligence finds out about Dean May, they'll immediately try to recruit him, and he probably won't even know what he's getting into. Of course, we're no foreign intelligence, we're fighting for the interests of ordinary Americans, and for their sake, we'll need to go outside the normal procedures of our special services. What use is the law if no one is following it? Exactly! You get it, man! First, we need to find out which secret documents Dean May can access on his computer, and then we access them, in a way that May won't find out about. Do you have anyone in mind who can punish Dean May for his carelessness? So, during covert operations, no one is safe from unfortunate consequences. If you need help, you can call in extra subordinates for a mission, but keep in mind that they may not be happy to be suddenly summoned. Let's see, Ollie's plan. Hack Dean May's computer remotely, that's 2 stress points, or collect information on Dean May via his social networks. Alvaro's suggestions. Get into Dean May's office and copy all the documents off his computer, the brute force approach, 2 stress points. Or follow Dean May in the afternoon, the classic spook approach, 1 stress point. Let's be a little subtle about it and gather his personal information. Chief, that Dean May guy sure is busy. His relationship to the director isn't particularly well hidden, and his workday life is well documented. Almost all of his personal data is wide open. But that's okay. May recently left a comment about his local barista who works in the coffee shop near his office. I'm waiting for coffee in my office. The guards are expecting you. I hope you'll find this information useful, Chief. Now, since we get this offer, now we can use this option. Get into Dean May's office under the guise of a barista and copy all of the documents off his computer. That's 2 stress points, but it's gotta work. Sir, I got a job at the coffee shop by May's office and found out from my coworkers that he wouldn't start work until they brought him his morning cappuccino. For me, putting milk in coffee is like throwing money away, but I'll do anything for the sake of national interests. When I got to his office, May wasn't at his desk. The only way I could tell he was at work was that the computer was on and there was an open pack of cigarettes on the desk. But I wasn't going to wait for him to come back. I grabbed the flash drive off his desk and bingo, there's a bunch of documents on it, including the ones you were looking for. It worked. Hey man, check this out. Have you seen what the intelligence service was hiding from us? Sensational stuff here. There's a schism growing in China within mid-level party leaders. In Turkey, another military coup broke out, but the authorities covered it up. An attempt was about to be made against the president of Venezuela, but the plan was cancelled at the last moment. The president of Russia has completely lost it. They're showing all recycled footage of him on TV while the Security Council has taken up leadership of the country. If only. Nice job, buddy. I finally feel like we're about to come into power. But the main thing is that we put those swaggering assholes in their place before we even got to the White House. Here's a folder with all the information on it. Don't lose it. Nice. Mainstream media reports that the intelligence community has finally begun to take the president-elect seriously. Their leadership has finally come to terms with the fact that they failed to get their candidate into the White House. 2 stress points for Alvaro. Don't worry, we'll fix you up. As soon as we can, of course. Sir, I finished decorating your headquarters. I brought 2 truckloads of snow from the Himalayan peaks, which they put in the squishy snow drifts of New York City. In the snow I put noble deer, which beat their hooves and snorted loudly. Sands magazine has already written that with your arrival to the White House, the country will shine as well as these snow-white drifts in the spotlight. Sir, the 2 hours of Hollywood makeup did not go to waste. A photo from the press conference made it to the cover of Men's Face magazine. If I were a man, I would die of envy. And we're up to 57.1% approval rating. Not too bad. But now, trust fund. Mr. President-elect, it is time to decide what you will do with your assets. Although the law does not require the head of state to get rid of them, this is done so that the president's business interests won't influence his political decisions. We can put the assets in a blind trust managed by people you don't know. The assets will be returned to you when you leave the White House. Or you can sell them off now to make money. You'll get a handsome sum that exceeds your current cash reserves by about 30 to 40%. True, these assets could have been sold for more money a few years ago, but they knew who knew you would become president. Your predecessors mostly put their assets in a trust fund, but Faze distinguished himself by pretending that he had no assets other than cash and did nothing with them. You know what? Let's put it in a trust, as I said I would. Then again, these assets won't get any more expensive in 4 years. But we do have promises to keep. Good call, Mr. President-elect. I'll make sure your assets are safe for the few years you spend in the White House. Of course it's a good call. And that's the first promise completed. Transfer your non-monetary assets into a trust. The President has placed his assets in a trust fund just as he promised. Now he has just one thing on his mind: America's prosperity. Dear, your support among the people is growing, but keep in mind that it will be more and more difficult to win over those who are not on your side yet, and each mistake will cost you more. But I believe in you. Besides, we have no other choice. Amendment 28 is on the stake, and so is our freedom. Courting the elites. Ali arranges a fundraiser to attract the elites to your side. Before that, there's that second folder, Intelligence Reports. A package with intelligence reports on everything that is going on in the world. There are analyses of current political events, characteristics, and of foreign leaders, and diplomatic correspondence. Actually costs less than special service tape, 600,000. But now about courting the elites. I'm sure you'd like to take a break, but it's time we build bridges with the elites. Otherwise, we simply won't be able to rule the country. So I've arranged a charity event and invited some of the most influential Americans to attend. Without their support, we would get bogged down on the first tight corner. The success of your presidency is hanging on this event. Please bear in mind that the media mustn't catch wind of the fundraiser, or they'll shout that we're selling out to the elites. So, don't draw too much attention. I want this to be a quiet evening. Gather elite representatives, make sure that the press does not find out about the fundraiser. That's definitely a job for Alta. And I'm guessing we'll bring along Galvaro just in case. To begin with, let's make sure that the invitations to the fundraiser reach the people we want. Who at headquarters best knows how to connect with the elite? Alta's suggestions. Send customized invitations to each of the elites. Alvaro's suggestion? Threaten the elites with consequences if they don't come. While that's a funny option, we'll go with the surefire way. Ha, I always say my letters work like spells. I send out personalized invitations to all our influential and wealthy contacts. It's only been half a day and we already have dozens of people lined up. You'll be waiting through a crowd of guests, cowboy. Wow, who would have thought that so many influential people would want to come to the fundraiser? Apparently they were just waiting for us to make the first move. Someone even left me a note saying that he would donate a symbolic amount to our charity every month. Nice. Why be surprised? They're people just like everybody else. Exactly, although Tony tells me that the elites are all a bunch of vindictive schemers. That's not important right now. You need to focus on making sure that the press does not learn anything about the fundraiser. Otherwise, you'll have a scandal on your hands. I've already sent the Secret Service boneheads home. Relations with the elites are already tense. There's no need to ruffle them with full-body searches. Secret Service wouldn't be much help anyway. Any ideas on how we can protect the events from journalists? Alta's approach. Hang a poster at the entrance for a program with different event. Alvaro's approach. Guard the entrance. Yep, just a regular old bodyguard, nothing to see here. But we'll disguise it as a different thing. Inconspicuous. To throw the media off our scent, I made up a modern art exhibition and hung it at the entrance. I know these journalists are idiots. They only pretend to be cultured. Just ask them the difference between modernism and postmodernism. The fools will go white. Modernism is when, rounded corners everywhere. Postmodernism is when you hate yourself and make it your entire personality. That's totally how it works. I'm an art critic, trust me. Trust me. So take a guess, cowboy. Which journalist decided to stay for my art exhibition? You guessed it, they all ran for the exits. And your invited guests only made it look more convincing. Good. The press didn't learn anything about our fundraiser. I figured we'd be doomed with so many guests. Let's focus on collecting as many donations as possible. We do need the money. This is a robbery. Everybody against the wall. Hands behind your head. And keep your mouth shut. Get to it, boys. You check the storage room on the left. You check on the right. I got the entrance. Don't bother with no wallets. We're here for the wine. Just find the bottles with the labels I showed you. And move it. 2 minutes and we're out. Wait. It's Mr. Coyote. Hey, brother. You remember me? Oh, great, Conrad. Yes, how could I forget your ugly mug? I'll be damned. It really is you. I noticed you're a big hot shot now, always on the TV. But underneath it all, you haven't changed a bit. You sure put face down good. Nice moves. I told all the homies, yeah, that's my old boss, Coyote. And they told me I've been smoking too much whack. I got me tripping, like wondering if my brain is busted. You're obviously tripping. What are you doing here? Petty robbery? Brother, you got too much money to know my troubles. And there ain't nothing petty about this robbery. And how much one of the bottles you got here costs? Tens of thousands. With a score like that, I can retire. You feel like breaking me off a piece? I'll take 70% and you can leave here alive. Ah, I thought you only take 60% when you're doing business with friends. Or ain't with friends anymore? Yes, you are causing trouble. In fact, you're messing up a very important charity event. Charity event? Oh, so that's why there's so many people here. And who's that ragdoll you got with you? Ragdoll? Oh, you piece of shit! Conrad, you better think twice before you say anything else about my wife. Oh, easy now. I didn't know that was Mrs. Coyote. 1,000 apologies, ma'am. Okay, brother, I won't rob anybody. After all, we're old friends. You gotta be careful with the people you got working for you. The TV says they're trying to stack the electorate against you. Anyway, you know I got your back. Alright, guys, let's get out of here. Well, you kept it together in front of our guests. Everyone must think it was some kind of performance and you acted your part well. But something tells me that guy meant business. How's it you know that, Doug? No sense in keeping secrets. He's an old acquaintance of mine. We're from the same neighborhood. But we went our separate ways a long time ago. That's good. I hope we never see him again. That's where you're wrong, Gally. That's where you're wrong. Yes, it wasn't a good idea to send the Secret Service guys home. But just think, we dealt with those thugs ourselves. Thank God it didn't end in tragedy. I do wish we'd spent an evening differently. Maybe next time we could go to Broadway. We haven't been for ages. And this is a souvenir of tonight's dinner, a recording of the guests' conversations. I now carry a tape recorder with me everywhere on Noah's recommendation. He says no one has ever invented a better device for a successful political career. Mainstream media is reporting that more and more congressmen are siding with the new president-elect. His influence is growing, and no one wants history to leave them behind. And we get a new income source, $50,000 per month. Nice. New event, Secret Santa. Now what was that thing once again? There, classified tape. Drunken conversations of influential people recorded in a wine cave. Among the jokes are blatant racism and harassment. This audio recording could cause problems for those who were caught on it. Only 200,000 though. So, Secret Santa. Christmas is just around the corner. Tony wants to talk to you about a present. That's gonna go swimmingly. Hey man, I need your help. We're having a Secret Santa party at headquarters and I need to come up with a gift for Ellie. And honestly, I have no idea what she likes. It's too bad. We've worked together so much, but I know almost nothing about her. She's a nice person, but keeps to herself, and I'd hate to get something she didn't like. You gotta help me out, man. Wait, why wasn't I invited? Ellie said there's a good reason you don't like Christmas presents. Nobody questioned her. We could tell by the tone of her voice that she was serious. That's my wife. Protective of me. Okay, so, here's what you need to know. Pick up an antique coffee table that we can put in one of the rooms of the White House. An antique, you say? Sounds like a plan. I'll look into it. My dear President, were you my Secret Santa? More like the man behind the Santa. Your actual Secret Santa had no idea what you like. Really? When I first saw the gift I figured it was from Alta, but then I started to second guess myself. By the way, I played Secret Santa for Alta and I gave her a cowboy hat. You can't imagine how perfectly it suits her. She has told me on several occasions that she'd never dare buy one for herself. So she was happy. I think she is the only one at headquarters who knows how much I adore things that have a long history. Her fascination with spaghetti westerns always seemed a little unhealthy to me. Nah, I'll insist that she wear it at every press conference. Yes, and bring a lasso too. If she doesn't like one of the questions she hears, she'll hog-tie the journalist right there in front of the cameras. Now that would be a market improvement. Okay, this was fun, but I need to go work on that amendment. I'll probably be up late again, so don't wait up for me, okay? You do that, girl. Or wife. Wolf Hyde, head of security service. No relation to Sam Hyde? Sir, your victory in the election is indisputable to me, but some of Face's supporters are having a hard time accepting their defeat. There's a small group of people holding signs, Face gets the crown, the rest of you are going down. They're heading towards your headquarters and they're not responding to police warnings. Do you want these protesters dispersed with tear gas? Nah, let them protest. They'll do that a bit and then they'll head off. Nothing serious will come out of this, I'm certain. No new events, so on to the next month. Ratings continue going up, and now we have a little source of income to our name. And of course, team stress will need to be dealt with at some point. But now it is January 2021. Buddy, my psychologist pal worked every dime. The guys are playing Monopoly right now and laughing, even at my jokes. All of the team gets 2 points of stress shaved off. That paid off. Honey, it's a good thing you gave your permission for that photo shoot. Just listen to what they say in the comments under my photos. The president got lucky with this beauty. They are the best calves ever seen in the White House. Printed them out and hung them over my bed. 3 hours naked in the cold was definitely worth it. Hope you didn't catch a cold, dear. Sir, the criminals Face wanted to pardon remain behind bars. My office meticulously followed all the formal procedures which delayed the pardons. Sure, journalists wrote that it was your doing, but I believe that future generations will appreciate this forward-thinking move. Even though it cost me a 1% of approval, I'm sure it was the right thing to do. Mr. President, reporters called your live vaccination a slap in the face to anti-vaxxers. I look forward to further cooperation. And thank you for the donation. First executive order, fighting cancer. Level 2 reached. I think we can leave it at level 2. And we can sign it. We'll be able to sign this document only after the inauguration. Right. President Face is preparing to step down from office and pass the torch to the new president. We shudder to imagine where this might lead, a transfer of such power into ill-prepared hands. Sure, Jolene, sure. The new musical Black Shakespeare by Ray Johnson puzzled the critics at its pre-premiere run. What or who is he suggesting by calling the show's main character Mr. P? And Tony writes in his Twitter, the closer you get to power, the more likes and retweets your posts get, even when they're meaningless like this one. Ha! For almost 15,000 likes, 220 reposts, and I'm guessing 1,123 comments. The musical. Honey, remember we were talking about how much we'd love to go to Broadway? Well, 2 tickets just happened to arrive in your name. We've been invited to the pre-premiere of the gay musical drama My Lover Mr. P by Ray Johnson. It's going to be a sensation. The critics agree he hasn't lost his talent despite his mounting psychological problems. He mentioned in the invitation that you were old friends. You know the director, right? You really think he's crazy? The last time we spoke was a decade ago. Back then he was alright. It seems like real artistic genius can make a person a little fragile, but apparently his memory's alright. He certainly hasn't forgotten about you. We'll soon be stuck in the White House with no time left for cultural experiences, so take a break from your endless meetings. We're going to a show. Let's see if this is still choppy.
That summer in the city, I was running out of fuse. I never thought that love could ever bloom. We were so happy then.
We thought our love would continue to thrive. We danced,
You don't dance, I dance.
we still dance
You could have fooled me.
without pants.
Okay, fine, you got me. You are the most beautiful person on earth.
Oh no, you are the one who doesn't know his worth.
As my thoughts get lost in the wine, a shiver runs down my spine.
No question remains for us both.
This place isn't going to be
Mine or yours,
the wind in my hair, love in the air, more than passion. Oh no,
oh no,
oh no, we just hit a little girl on the road. Can't leave her alone, it's a crime.
should have behind when we have the time.
Shit! When it dawned on us, we killed her. We cried each other a river. That little girl is gone now, so our love is no more.
My head is going to explode with madness, so much sadness. I can't get rid of these thoughts. I have to, but I can't go to the cops.
All I have left is pride and honor. Harry, I'm a goner. We're never going to find peace, so I'm going to the police. Oh, Harry,
Oh, Paul,
the doubts I carried are gone for good. We'll never end up together, locked away forever.
all we'll see
All we'll see
are the beds,
are the beds.
so lonely and cold.
Not just better than Cats. This was better than Has-Been Hotel, if you can believe that. Honey, that must have been the strangest musical I have ever seen. What do you think Ray Johnson was trying to say? Maybe he meant that the mistakes of your past have a way of catching up with you. Maybe so. Well, I hope our mistakes aren't in too much of a hurry. Hey, your phone is ringing. Can I answer it? Oh, right. Moshi Moshi. Well, hello there, friend. Hello there. Hello. It's been too long, my dear friend. But who am I kidding? I hear your voice everywhere I turn. I saw you with your wife at the show. What a beautiful couple. Do you like it? Did you recognize yourself in this story? I've missed your voice, Ray. Oh, what a sweetheart you are. Thank you. I thought you didn't care for men. Not anymore. I'm holding a press conference after the premiere tomorrow. I'll be confessing my creative inspiration, the events that formed the basis of the musical in every detail, and of course with names. What is it that you want? Only the most basic justice. You've had such an eventful life, maybe you've forgotten. It doesn't matter. I'll remind you now. 10 years ago we got a little carried away, had a small accident, and disappeared. You were the one driving, remember? I tried more than once to go to the police and confess, but I didn't want to set you up. Meanwhile, you've grown to become quite an important person. They were trampling on our rights, but here you come, the great protector, protecting the poor and kissing the babies. You're gonna save the country. And what happened back then does not matter to you at all. I saw it in your eyes. But I couldn't understand. How? How do you live with it? How do you sleep at night? Does it give you nightmares? And then one day, while I was listening to one of your lovely speeches, I looked at that beautiful face and I knew. You are the devil, and I'm the only one who can stop you. I'm gonna lock you in a cage. I'm gonna destroy you. I will turn you into a pile of shit, you monster. Perhaps we can discuss it later, after you've had a chance to calm down a bit. With pleasure. For a long time I have dreamed of meeting you, on the day I sit in the witness box while you stand accused in the dock. Are you already thinking about how you can sue me or hack me or expose me? Don't worry, it won't work with me. I know perfectly well who I'm dealing with and I've come prepared. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called. To keep those skeletons hiding safely in the closet. Are you ready to go all the way? Ciao, baby. See you in the dock. Is everything okay, my dear? I went to the restroom while you were talking, but it seemed to be here the conversation take an unpleasant turn. It was Ray. He threatened me. Ray? You mean that director, Johnson? Why would he threaten you? I had an affair with him and he still can't get over it. An affair? Are you kidding me? Wait, you're not joking. You're going to be president soon. Of course there's going to be all sorts of psychopaths throwing false accusations at you just to get their moment in the spotlight, and hoping they can convert it into a payday if they play it right. You can count on Clint. He's gotten us out of a lot of trouble before. He'll get us out of this one too. But if anything, don't forget you've got more than just Clint. You've got a whole team on your side. Oh yes, we are a biking indeed. Or at least, we're bike curious, as they say. Let's see at our options. Alvaro suggests, talk to Ray privately and threaten him with reprisals. Hit Ray with a car outside his house. Threaten the reporters with personal harm if they attend Ray's press conference. All these options. Hack Ray's social media accounts and find compromising evidence on him. Threaten the journalists over email to keep them from coming to press conferences. Eliminate Johnson as he leaves his house using a drone rigged with explosives. The Ukraine special, as they say. Or they will say, in the near future. Threaten Ray with libel charges. Sue Ray for slander that is yet to happen. That's Clint's options and Alta's options. Launch a campaign to box Ray in on social media. Issue a press release refuting Ray's future accusations. All very interesting options. We don't need to jump to violence straight away. So let's start by threatening Ray with libel charges. Ray's lawyer said that his client wasn't planning on slandering anyone and refused to continue the conversation. Is there anything else I can do? No, not you, Clint. Not you. Launch a campaign to box Ray in on social media. Cowboy covering people and shit is my favorite part of the job. I quickly organized an information campaign against Johnson across all the social networks and media outlets that we control. We didn't have any really compromising evidence on Ray. We wrote that he's lost his mind, that he can't control his words or actions, and this was easily confirmed with a couple of the actors in his show. But to be honest, people didn't have much of a reaction. It's like Johnson's quirks don't come as a surprise to anyone. There's still to deal with him. Should I get a rebuttal ready, Cowboy? Or are you gonna get someone else to handle it? That is a lie. All of it. Our president-elect would not murder children. Let's get a little physical. Talk to Ray privately and threaten him with reprisals. Sir, I waited for Ray Johnson outside the theater, grabbed him by the collar and explained everything to him in detail. He wouldn't stop laughing, although there was nothing funny about it. He said that he'd only give up his plans after Satan fell. He didn't mean you, did he, sir? And what are we gonna do about it now? Well, no other option then. Elimination it is. Time for some, what do I call in this, skullduggery. As in there are gonna be things dug into his skull after we bomb him. Chief, I won't even ask why Johnson has to be killed. The subordinate is burned out and cannot take on anything else for now. In the future will be able to send your characters to rest, after which they can return to work energized. Obviously, this was some sort of punishment for my failures. And yes, I'm sorry, but I don't want to go into details. It's way too graphic for me. But I should note one thing. No matter what I tried, I couldn't be sure of destroying every trace of evidence. Of course, the suicide drone erased all its records before the explosion, but who knows what a witness might have seen, and there might be some evidence left somewhere in the mess that remained of Johnson. Thank you, Ollie. You did everything you could. Darling, this is a nightmare. I heard the director of that musical we went to was attacked by a drone. It seemed like an accident, but according to Johnson's acquaintances, the day before he was saying he feared for his life. It turns out that his call was for a reason. I can fully understand why you didn't want to get involved in this. I'm very sorry for him, but we already have enough problems. We don't need any new ones. It's his fault, not yours, right? Yes. It's a secret we will be taking to our graves. Both of us. Many questions follow the tragic death of Ray Johnson, the author of the critically acclaimed musical My Lover, Mr. P. Was his death really an accident, or was someone from the establishment behind the assassination attempt, perhaps the very same Mr. P whom Johnson was rumored to know all too well? That is unfortunate. Highly unfortunate. Chief, recently I've been thinking about dying a nice clean death. I'd hate if my loved one's final image of me was with my head half blown off or twisted up under the wheels of a bus. I have no idea why. I've never been suicidal, but I know thoughts like this definitely aren't healthy. I could use an appointment with a good shrink, but those cost a fortune. Could you cover some of the costs? Yes. For you, Ollie, anything. Thank you, Chief. A therapist told me that I should try to avoid stress until I feel better, so I won't be able reporting back to work for a while. Buddy, the clowns at Shock's News told me all the time in their supposedly humorous sketches. Mock me all the time in their supposedly humorous sketches. Yesterday, for example, they showed a miniature of me signing napkins at Fat Joe's instead of documents at my residence. Why don't you ask the lawyers to scribble these assholes some kind of warning about liability for insulting the honor and dignity of Vice President Estaba? It's their right to be unfunny, so unfortunately, no, I won't be able to do that. Sarah Chino, Inaugural Ball Liaison. Mr. President, I remind you that after the inauguration we'll be attending the traditional White House ball. I couldn't find any instructions to that effect, so let me ask you again. Will you invite your ex-wife to the ball? Absolutely not. Martha Powell, Publishing Director at Samaritan Staff. Mr. President, for many Americans, God's law means just as much as the laws of the United States, and they will definitely pay attention to the Bible you will take the oath on during the inauguration. I suggest using our collector's edition. The cover design was developed by the fashion stylists of Mayor House, and the illustrations made by Pak Manchi, that blind artist from Thailand. Please don't doubt, God will not be in debt. Do you agree to use our Bible? Sure. Might be a little in poor taste, but hey, if they donate... Mr. President, the beginning of a presidential term is the best time for good deeds. They will set the tone for the next 4 years. To let people know that you care about their well-being and health, I propose that you donate $1 million to the fight against microplastics. I'm sure the amount is symbolic to you, but the gesture will still be noble. Will you write me a check? Sure, I think people will appreciate it. By donating $1 million to the fight against microplastics, Mr. President has shown everyone that his humanist orientation. I think we'll be able to make up the money. I'm sure of it. My dear, we have an emergency. The inauguration starts soon and Tony has disappeared. No one knows where he is, neither the Secret Service nor the staff at headquarters. And without Tony, the whole inauguration script will go to waste. As Vice President, he takes the oath right before you do. Tony, what are you up to? I hope you're not getting drunk and like in that one other game. Honey, we need to find Tony, and fast, otherwise we'll have to postpone the inauguration. You'll remain president-elect and the Speaker of House will act as president. Take whoever you trust the most from your team and go on search. find Vice President-elect, conceal from the public that the future Vice President has gone missing. Then we're taking Alvaro and Alta. The last time anyone heard from him was last night. He called Alvaro and invited him to his favorite bar in Manhattan, the Smelly Goose. But you know Alvaro, before an important day like today, he always goes to bed early. So Tony said he'd go to the bar by himself, but he seemed to have disappeared along the way. After that, there's been nothing from him but a series of incoherent tweets. How are we going to find him now? Search for Tony all over Manhattan. Interrogate the bartender at the Smelly Goose. Alvaro's suggestions and Alta's suggestions are: inform the media that Tony's doppelganger has gone missing. Put out a rumor on the social networks that Tony has a double, and who's escaped from an asylum. Let's go the old-fashioned route. Interrogate the bartender at the Smelly Goose. Sir, I talked to the bartender. He said he was pouring tequila for Tony all evening. According to him, Tony got more and more miserable with every glass, and after he polished off half the bottle, he yelled at the whole bar that he wanted to breathe in the sweet and sour air of freedom over in Central Park. And he paid his tab and left, balancing himself against the wall. That's bad. Thanks to Alvaro's information, the Secret Service was able to find Tony in the southern part of Central Park, where they're planning on doing some reconstruction. And you know what Tony is doing? Sitting in a homeless camp. I don't know what he was doing there. The problem is that the Secret Service does not factor publicity into their decisions. They just want to get Tony out of there as soon as possible and deliver him to Washington for the inauguration. So we need to provide him some cover. How are we going to keep Tony out of the public eye? That's where Alta comes in. Put on a free concert in the northern part of the park. Cowboy, I organized a free concert at the Central Park in honor of your inauguration. What can I say? The only thing missing at the concert was you. 5 fat Elvis impersonators sang a Spanish romance, and an Eastern European immigrant played along on a cymbal. A huge crowd gathered, watching in amazement, and we drew everyone away from where Tony was hiding. He easily got to the car unnoticed. Get ready, Mr. President. Tony is on his way to Washington. That's nice. Tony sure gave us an adventure. I hope he set his head straight, preferably with a golf club. I know you chose him as a running mate, but if you don't rein him in, Tony is sure to let you down. Thank God that journalists didn't find out. Otherwise today wouldn't have been a holiday, but a tragedy that would have darkened your whole term. Tony, I expect some explanations. Hey man, I'm back. Thanks for getting me out of trouble. Tony, where the hell have you been? This is gonna be the turning point in my memoirs. The day before inauguration, I got overwhelmed. I was about to become one of Washington's insiders, one of the people I've always hated. And not just for a week or a month, but for at least 4 years. To help me stop feeling sorry for myself, I decided to go visit some people who are much less fortunate than me. And since I was drinking near Central Park, I figured, who has it worse in our country than the homeless? I just wanted to look into their eyes and see their problems for myself. Remind myself why I got myself into this damn job in the first place. Wait, how did he get away from the Secret Service? It's a piece of cake, buddy. Everyone who's worked in the security services knows how to lose a tail. I'll teach you if you want. But I told him I just looked like the new vice president, and that seemed to satisfy everybody. But even before that, they were saying your first executive order was just window dressing. Then they treated me to some moonshine, and I listened to their stories all night. It surprised me, but I didn't hear them complaining much about their lives. I don't know what was in that moonshine, but after a while I passed out. When I woke up, I found out they robbed me blind, even took my shoes. No wallet, no phone either, of course, so I couldn't call anyone. Why didn't you go to the police right away? Well, imagine that would happen. I walk up to a policeman, barefoot, no ID, dirty torn jacket, and my story is, I'm the new vice president, I got robbed in Central Park, I need to get to Washington. That wouldn't be the finest start to inauguration day, would it? So I figured it would be better to sit tight and let our people help find me and get me out of there. Oh, the logic is sound. But okay, I admit my part of the guilt too, and I even have something to atone for it. This is the jewel of my collection of folders that I took as an artifact from work when I quit my job. Naturally, bypassing all procedures. It's just a treasure trove of intriguing information. Do what you want with it. I trust you completely. So, buddy, you ready to become president? I'm ready. But you owe me one. Agreed. Let's see, do we say the pledge for ourselves? Before the inauguration, the usually smiling and jovial Vice President Estaba was clearly not himself. He exhibited all the signs of a hangover, but no one from the press dared to ask the country's new second man how he'd spent the night before the inauguration. Good thing you didn't. My fellow Americans, today we begin to rebuild our country together. Mortal diseases should no longer hold us in their power. In a very short time, I will assume the presidency of the United States of America. As my first official act, I will create a presidential laboratory where we will finally find a vaccine for cancer. My time as president will show that I am dedicated to the fight against cancer. We're not afraid of what the establishment thinks about this. The times when those crooks ruled the capital are at an end. We're not afraid of what Big Pharma thinks about this. The pharmaceutical companies, we're talking taking back control of our health from the clutches of the pharmaceutical giants. We're not afraid of what the media thinks about this. Let them be the real Fourth Estate, not some ugly caricature of it. We're not afraid of what Congress thinks about this. We're going to make them fight for what Americans want. We're not afraid of what the courts think about this. All their decisions just keep the ruling class on top. Oh, we're attacking everyone with this one. The main thing is that is what will happen next. Not only will I put the establishment on their knees, we'll repair our broken system. As a result, the Constitution will be fixed too. This will be the greatest amendment in the history of amendments. And now, I am the president. That went swimmingly. The inaugural speech of the newly elected president will go down in history as one of the most daring. In it, he clearly outlined the contours of his upcoming term. This president won't be content just putting in his 4 years. He's seeking radical changes to the US political landscape. We're draining the swamp, people. We're draining the swamp. Mark Ravioli, ambassador to Iran. Mr. President, 3 American tourists were detained in Iran today. Drugs were found in their backpacks. The tourists are facing a prison sentence that would make even our infamous pit seem like heaven on earth. I wanted to remind you that about a year ago, 2 Iranian spies were caught in the United States. Why don't we arrange a prisoner exchange with the Iranians? Sure, this'll look good for the press. Anthony Rowe, Secretary of Labor. Mr. President, congratulations on taking office. I come to you with this matter. Under the Hatch Act, civil servants are not allowed to speak out about politics in the workplace. So if a postal service employee is sitting in his office liking face posts, he's a criminal. Let me tell you a secret. We began recording likes of the former president's posts right about the time of your inauguration. They're recorded, counted, and kept on a shelf. Don't you want to sue a dozen or 2 of the most egregious violators of labor discipline? Let's go with that, yes. first presidential decision. Mr. President, Director Monger here, National Intelligence Service. Our agents discovered that the leaders of a radical ultra-right terrorist group are planning an attack. They want to make the point that you, unlike former President Feist, are incompetent and can't ensure the safety of the American people. The terrorists are hoping to attack Feist supporters in Washington. Don't ask me why they're prepared to kill their own people. I have no idea what goes on in the minds of those fanatics. But the fact remains, hundreds of lives are at stake, Mr. President. We recommend canceling the event. Cancel the rally. Feist supporters will crucify me for this, but the safety of the American people comes first. And we're not starting our inauguration, rather our term, with a mass shooting. Sir, you've saved dozens of American lives. Our agents reported that the terrorists abandoned their plans once news spread that the celebration was cancelled. Now it's our turn to cleanse the country of these scum. Good attitude. Ooh, but that's a 7% hit. Ooh. The very day the president enters the Oval Office was not marked by the signing of his first order, but a ban on all protests in the DC area. This is what lurks behind the president's ascent to power. Contempt for the law. Sure. And now, we go on Twitter. Mr. President, we cleverly kicked the crooks who waste their working hours on likes. A couple of employees lost their jobs and 28 people were fined. Next time we'll be more careful. It's a shame that journalists now make jokes like the one where you are standing in front of a mirror. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm embarrassed to even retell those nasty things, but never mind. They're wrong. Honey, sometimes there's just no good option. You have to choose between the bad and the worse. This might be the essential skill of the president, to choose the lesser of two evils. Our whole team has moved out of campaign headquarters, buddy. Before giving the keys back to the landlord, we threw a big old going-away party in the building. It's too bad you weren't there. Ellie said you were too busy getting ready to move into the White House. Anyhow, I'm here to tell you the party went great. We barely broke any furniture or windows. It was sad giving up the keys to a place where we'd won so many victories and drank so much booze celebrating said victories. But now our guys are ready to get to work in the White House. Mr. President, let me be the first on team to congratulate you on your inauguration. You've already seen how your decision can determine the fate of people, and there are many more such decisions awaiting you. Please keep in mind that the legal department will always support you and take care of all the routine work. In the near future, I expect to hear from you as to who will take over your administration. If you don't have a person in mind, I'm willing to take on the burden. I've been studying meditation techniques for the past few years, and I can't wait to share my experiences with others, so that they too can release their stress and keep it to a minimum. Of course, the decision is yours, Mr. President. We have a full roster of specialists with unique skills. Don't worry, Clint, you will have it. After all, I did promise a black chief of staff. And you will be it. You have become President of the United States and can now sign your first executive order. Time to get back all that popularity. Honey, after you sign this executive order, the best minds in the world will unite in the fight against cancer. You ready to sign? Of course. Darling, everything is ready for you to sign your first executive order on the development of the cancer vaccine. But Clint wanted to ask you something first. He'll be with you shortly. And that's the second promise completed. Sign a progressive first executive order. We may meet Holden Bloodfeast first. The likelihood remains high that the establishment crooks of the Supreme Court will try to overturn the president's first executive order, but for now, the people are cheering. See? We're getting our popularity back. Appoint people from your team to key positions in the administration. Subordinates assigned to positions in the administration affect your team, personal budget, and rating in different ways. Before you appoint someone, check the pros and cons of the appointment, and keep in mind that you can't fire or replace the person until next month. Don't forget that every month spent in the administration brings one stress point to your subordinates. It is stressful work after all. So, Chief of Staff, as promised, Clint. You gain 250,000 at the end of every month, but you lose 1.4 ratings at the end of every month. See? That's the South protesting. Treasury Secretary, how about Ollie? Another 150,000, but team member actions increase stress points by one more. Alta, if we put you as press secretary. You gain 4.5% rating at the end of every month, but team member actions increase stress points by 1 more. If we make you treasury secretary, corrupt. You lose 150,000 at the end of every month. Gee, thanks, Alta. Guess we are making you a press secretary then. Now, if we were to make Alvaro our treasury secretary, ineffective manager. Team member actions increase stress points by 2 more. Well, all it is then. Congratulations, you are now treasury secretary. Hope you'll like it there. And, just like that, all of our campaign promises completed. The appointment of an African American as chief of staff only confirms the seriousness of the president's intentions. Thank you for your confidence, Mr. President. Are you already feeling the positive energy emanating from the White House? I was the one who ensured that the aromas of Kanchenjunga filled the offices, fortifying not only your colleagues, but also our guests. Honey, you remember my friend Alvin, a prosecutor from Minnesota? Who would have thought he's inviting us to a wedding with his boyfriend? For you, it'll be just a small gift expense and I'll finally vent and see some old friends. I know there's no way you're getting out now, but will you let me go? Fine. Frida Patariki, specialist at the Center for National Computer Security. Mr. President, Big Brother does not sleep, and I'm talking about our big Eastern brother, China. Here's the deal. The Baby Babe mobile app measures the biometric data of American babies around the clock, and I'm sure sends it straight to the clutches of the Chinese authorities. The app has already had over 1 million downloads a day. God knows what they do with this information, but it's certainly not good. Before it's too late, it is our duty to ban Baby Babe in the United States. Will you sign the order? Let me think about it. I don't think it's a good call. Over 1 million downloads a day. That's a lot of people. And it's just biometric data for babies. For people to help monitor their babies when they sleep. Or some such. So no. But now, let's get to the real meat. Tony knows how to make your presidency go viral. Man, can you feel it? What it's like to be in power. I'm just starting to realize it. Just yesterday I went to my Twitter account and saw that I had twice as many subscribers as I had a couple days ago. Twice as many, man. Well, you should... Why should you be surprised? You've become the vice president. That's right. But still, I just can't get used to it. But you know what bothers me the most? You've got 1 million less subscribers than me. That's not right. You're the main guy, not me. If the reporters are paying attention, they're already laughing. But don't worry about it. We're gonna fix everything. I just need to teach you to write viral tweets. First and only rule. Talk about something that really bothers people. And don't be afraid of blaming everyone but yourself. That's another rule of good form on the internet. Well, let's get to it. Americans spend more on prescription drugs than people in other developed countries spend on their whole household budget. All of this is on Faist's head, him and his whole administration. They sold out to Big Pharma. And I will act only in the interests of my fellow Americans. Our time has come. And you know what? I think I'm even going to screenshot this. If I can. There we go. Just like that. And send tweet. True Conservative 312. Finally, someone in the White House is following the Constitution. Political Junkie 007. You weren't elected for words, idiot. Do something, damn it. You've just received a letter from the Nigerian prince, Mr. President. It looks like you're blood related. Read more. Typical Twitter. Home sweet home. Indeed, I'm the best president there was. Perfect, man. Consider yourself a step away from the very top of Twitter. The other guys bother with hashtags, publication time, and context. You're the president. You'll already get their attention. I can't wait for your next tweet. I hope it won't be too long before you've got more subscribers than me. But watch out, I'm not gonna give up without a fight. From the first days of his term, the president has shown class not only in the Oval Office but also online. No matter what the mainstream media may say about him, as long as the president keeps talking directly to the people, nothing can touch him. A couple new events, and the map expands. Honey, Alvin's wedding was magical. It was especially impressed with Betty Barry's hologram performance in the Laser Theater. It's embarrassing to even compare it to our 30-person binge. By the way, my mail is flooded with letters of from the LGBT community. First Lady, thank you for your progressive stance and everything in that vein. I'm all about combining business with pleasure. That's my wife. Francine Lorty, coordinator to the of the Center to Counter Disinformation. Sir, these Russian propaganda shitheads have completely lost their conscience. They left a bunch of hurtful and badly concocted memes under every inauguration video. One image enraged me so much that I even choked on my cocoa. It shows the president of Russia supposedly signing an order to appoint you, as seen here. At the moment, the ratio of comments from your supporters to the Kremlin bots is about 1 to 3, and it's terribly demoralizing to our fellow citizens. I want to hire 200 people and have them tell the Kremlin bots to go fuck themselves while praising you. Will you allocate us some money from the budget? Of course I will. Anything to shut down Kremlin bots. Kate Bartek, your ex-wife. Hi, sorry to interrupt, I'm here on an important matter. A few months ago I was vacationing on the beach in La Jolla, and today I opened the fucking sands and see a picture of myself all over the spread, with my fucking naked ass and a caption, sad sight. Do I have to explain why I'm itching to show a sight in a courtroom that these bastards will never forget? Anyway, I want to borrow money from you and a good lawyer. Will you help me out of old friendship? No. Mr. President, this is the CEO of a major social network. You've barely stepped into the White House and are already gaining followers like crazy. My staff is telling me that the servers are about to shut down unless we add new ones. But I can't make the decision myself. Mr. President, I need your authority on this. I can't let you do that. You should be more considerate of the environment. Understood, Mr. President. I care about the environment too. Sorry for bothering you. I only hope that our current servers can handle all the extra traffic. They will. They absolutely will. An anonymous prankster has a feather in his cap today. However, the recording of the conversation showed that the president has not only immediately called out the pranksters, but also turned the joke against them, showing that he, unlike his ill-wishers, cares about the environment. I will admit, I do have some forewarning, or rather forethought about it. I played it all those years ago, and I remember some points. But, hey man, I hate to spoil your presidential honeymoon, but there's been a disaster. Hurricane Charlize tore through the town of Arkville. They're saying it broke the glass at every window in town. The hospitals were flooded, 230 homes were destroyed, and 400,000 people are without electricity. There is one good thing about this nightmare, though. The mayor of Arkville is that fucking Alan Rickles, the upstart mayor with a selfie stick. The guy who thinks he's going to be the next president in 4 years. Remember all the journalists oohing and eyeing about how much better Arkville was under Rickles? They even gave him the Best Mayor in America award. Let's see how well our best mayor does when his town has been washed away. I bet he can't even pull up his pants without presidential assistance. Events marked with special icons unlock new opportunities and items which can help you run the country more effectively. So let's do that. Secure a resort. Provide your subordinates with a place to rest. Makala Heiki, Governor of Hawaii. Sir, I have a delicate request. President Feist loved vacationing in our area and has even rented a small bungalow in a national park in the Pacific Ocean. But in all the years of his presidency, we never saw a check for the rent, while his nosy parties with crowds of drunken people frightened away all the animals, birds, and even tourists. We didn't want to get into a fight with the president back then, but things are different now. Perhaps you can have an experienced lawyer who can get Feist off our islands. If you can help us out, you can rent a bungalow along with a beach for a decent price. Of course we will do that. Clint, you're up. 3 points of stress, but it's gonna be worth it. PR Hurricane. Send help to the city of Arkville, which was hit by Hurricane Charlize. Man, I knew it. It's just like we feared. That upstart Rickles is using this disaster to hype himself up. Federal aid is on the way, but he's already busy organizing volunteers, setting up a medical team, and clearing debris. Rickles is loving every minute of it. He knows the eyes of America are on him. How else can you explain his endless live streams from the disaster scene? And it's hard not to notice how sarcastic he sounds when he talks about the federal government. His America Wide Open channel isn't about breaking down the wall between the government and the people. His whole super openness thing is just a cheap PR stunt, especially when Rickles is profiting from the grief of the American people. Meanwhile, we're the real defenders of American democracy. We work for results, not for the camera, while the reporters fall all over themselves asking for quotes. Let's send our best people to Arkville and do something that will save this city, so America will know that their president can handle any disaster. And since we are working not for the camera but for the people, I'm thinking we can send Ollie and Alta. That should work. Man, that guy Rickles is scoring political points all while acting like the hero. We can't turn a blind eye to that. Here's a stream from a briefing where he's organizing search and rescue teams. And here's him with a camera on his forehead pulling a girl out of some rubble. And here's him announcing a national #SaveACity campaign to help the city. And all his posts on Twitter are just about that. I'll tell you right now, buddy, paying for some articles won't be enough this time. We're gonna have to come up with something that will drown out Rickles and get your name back on the front page. Just please don't overdo it. So, Ollie is an optimizer, and Alta is obviously a public darling. Ollie's propositions: search for survivors using the city surveillance video, send a drone to Arkville with a thermal imaging camera to locate people under the rubble, send condolence spam to all the people of Arkville on behalf of the president. I'm not particularly liking either of that. He already has 2 points of stress. Putting either of those in will put him over the edge. Meanwhile, Alta's options are: organize a Help Arkville flash mob on Twitter, organize a benefit concert in Arkville. I'm liking that one more. Cowboy gives some superstars an excuse to get high and parade around like warrior heroes, and they are good to go. Trust me, I know how much money is in this shit. I'll give you a full house: Lil Doc, Betty Barry, and Diamond Gold, all on one stage. That's something you don't see every day. But the fucking journalists didn't appreciate my fucking who's who. Oh wait, I'll read it out loud. Inappropriate bacchanalia before a grief-stricken crowd. On his channel, Rickles described the rave of the century pretty much the same way. Unfortunate. Buddy, I do wish you got more media attention, but not like this. President-elect versus common sense. Alan Rickles defends Arkville against White House. The list goes on. To hell with this, let's give this round to Rickles. We've got a whole country to save, not just some shitty town. Unfortunate. The newly elected president deployed all of his administration's resources to hijack the disaster planning of small-town Mayor Alan Rickles. If the president finds such extraordinary measures necessary from the beginning of his tenure, what happens next? It's clear enough to us who the next president will be in 4 years. Right. Ooh, finally some timed events. Dear President, I hate to break it to you, but my first impression of the White House is a disappointment. I never thought that on a closer inspection it would be so terrible. It's hard to feel like the wife of the most powerful man in the world when the whitewash is fallen off the ceiling and the wallpaper is ripped. Should we allot money from the budget for a major renovation? Of course. My dear Adam Harrison has requested a meeting. Spare some time for the old man, would you? And tell him I said hello, and that I miss his silly jokes. Not all events need to be completed at once. Under the name of the events is the number of months remaining until the event becomes unavailable. Next month, all events marked with the number 1 will disappear. Keep in mind that matters left unattended can damage your reputation. What do we have? Help the Israel Prime Minister. Offer digital assistance to your new friend. Secure the White House. Find listening devices in the White House. Rescue a refugee. Help the head of the CIA who out of nowhere came directly to you. Intimidate the media. Put a lid on the journalistic fervor. Let's start with help the Israel Prime Minister. Greatest ally. Mr. President, congratulations on your successful inauguration. You never fulfilled the one promise you made to me, to protect Israel digital infrastructure from Russian and Chinese hackers. Historically, we've handled some of the problems ourselves, and we've relied on America for the other part. I hope this will continue to be the case, and that you will lend your best technician to me for the time being. And in return, I promise to share information about your predecessor's private affairs. I will help you to make yourself look good, and I will be sure that I can rely on your promises. Yes, we've got along quite well with you, but you are the president now, not him. I hope this will be the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship with a new administration of the President of the United States. This will put Ollie over the edge, so maybe a little later. Secure the White House. My friend, if you think that the White House, like any other house, is now your fortress, I assure you that it is not. I'll bet the phased henchmen have bugs, hidden cameras, and other spy devices planted all over the White House to gather dirt on the new administration and sniff out our plans. If you give me a spy-savvy partner, we can easily clear the White House of all this crap. Alvaro, you're up. Rescue a refugee. Mr. President, forgive me for talking to you through the head of my boss, Orta Chambers, but the case is too serious. There is no time to comply with the chain of command. The department received information that foreign agents were going to poison Nikolai Yegorov, a political refugee from Russia. Orta is sure that the special services will be able to protect Yegorov, but I doubt it. The Russians have been extremely effective lately, and there is no round-the-clock protection for the refugee. I understand that I'm coming into conflict with my superiors, but I ask for your help. Maybe you have someone who can keep an eye on Yegorov and protect him in case of trouble. Alvaro is kind of busy at the moment, so maybe next month. So in the meantime, party operative. The chairman of your party called you in for a talk. Sorry to interrupt, but after what you did, we need to discuss our arrangements again. You do understand why I'm here, don't you? You think the federal response was too slow? No, we agreed that you wouldn't elbow Rickles. Why did you start this circus? You didn't think Alan was handling things well enough? Alan is young and inexperienced. He needed federal assistance. Maybe I wasn't watching Alan very carefully, but it didn't look to me like he needed any help. The kid had mobilized city services, rescuers, and volunteers. I think I'm gonna retire for now. Game has been a blast to watch. It sure is. I think I'm gonna be finishing up soon enough as well. But we'll just get through this event first. The kid had mobilized city services, rescuers, and volunteers, all without you. You could have just offered your condolences to the victims and declared a day of mourning. But no, you had to put on a show for the journalists. I appreciate you want to help, but don't get in a pissing contest with Rickles. Remember the plan. The party backs your amendment foolishness, and you go happily into retirement, and Alan takes your place. You're not getting cold feet, are you? I haven't changed my mind, but what makes you think Alan will win the election? The people love Alan. You're lucky he's only 34. 1 year older, there's no chance you'd be president, or get that amendment passed. Good night to you two. You have one chance. Don't blow it. Mind your own business and don't get in our way. Why did you agree to nominate me? We've known each other 100 years, and besides, I like you. That's why I decided to help you pull this shit off. And I will still say I bet on the right horse. Please don't make me look like a fool. And yes, Alan is waiting for you. Please try to be nice. I'll try that, but no guarantees. Mr. President, hello. I ran into Adam in the lobby. I'm not gonna hide it. I know what you were talking about. I insisted on seeking you because I don't like someone else standing up for me. I can stand up for myself. Great. So what do you want? I came here to say two important things. First, I would have done the same thing if I were you. What's number two? Wait, Mr. President, I haven't finished the first one. A lot of people condemned you for the special operation in Arkville. I'm sure old Adam told you don't elbow Rickles. But like I said, I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. You would have helped people out in a crisis? That's generous of you. I try to make me feel better. Thank you, Alan. I doubt you think I'm here to console you. I'm here because I detest it when people intrude into my affairs. And by people, I mean Adam. Adam is a great guy, but he's no good with the public. Then again, he's never needed anybody to like him. He's just a powerful clerk who likes it best when his head is buried in reports. He doesn't care what people think of him. He'll never understand you and me. If I were president and I saw some dandy jamming up the airwaves, I'd launch a media operation too. Not as clumsily as you did, of course, but still. It's what any experienced politician would do, and I respect fellow professionals. Politics is in your blood, sir. You're alright too, Alan. In fact, you're doing a fine job. Thank you, sir. Oh yes, the second thing. Please leave Arkville to me. I understand that you have to look out for all of America, but believe me, I can handle Arkville's problems myself. I suggest we each do our own jobs and not get in each other's way. I'm sure you'd say the same thing if you were me. And thank you for your help. It came in handy, but we don't need it anymore. I promise, if the city needs anything from the federal government, I'll be the first to let you know. Alright, Alan, I'll try to stay out of your business. Mr. President, it pleases me no end to hear that, and I'll be glad to bid you farewell on that happy note. Well, that was a productive conversation. But now, just as I said, we are going to be done for the night. I thank you all for coming, and I will see you all next time on Sunday, or rather, on Saturday. Peace out.